I've had Dewars in the past, but I never realised until researching Aberfeldy that the core component of Dewars was in fact Aberfeldy. So when I got this in the Advent calendar, I was quite excited to get the chance to finally try it. Let's see how we go, shall we? This is Whiskey Whiskey, I'm John Chidgey. Always remember to drink responsibly in moderation and where and when appropriate. Feel free to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and visit engineer.network/whiskey, without the E, to learn how you can support the show. Thank you. In 1896-97, the sons of the famous John Dewar, John Alexander and Tommy Dewar, began constructing the Aberfeldy distillery, with production starting in 1898. Over time, their malt whisky became the primary component for Dewar's blends, and by the end of the century, Dewar's was selling 500,000 cases every year. The company, John Dewar and Sons, amalgamated with the Distillers Company Limited, or DCL. That was in 1925. In 1972, the distillery was expanded to double its existing capacity to cope with the growing demand, and it was then bought by Bacardi Martini in 1998, who are still the owners today. It was part of the Bacardi transition that pushed Aberfeldy to produce its own branded offerings, and the first single malt came out in 2000. The distillery still draws its waters from the nearby Petilly Burn. Aberfeldy uses longer fermentation times than many distilleries do, and mature their whiskies in a combination of bourbon barrels and sherry casks in sizes such as hogsheads and butts. Whilst they used to have their own malting floor, they long since moved to external supply for all their malted barley. Now, they have 4 alembic copper pot stills, 2 wash stills, each with a 16,500 litre capacity, and 2 spirit stills, each with a 15,000 litre capacity. The pots have a non-constricted pot and a rising line arm as well. The distillery produces 3.4 million litres of spirit every single year. That's respectable. Now, a full-size bottle of this puppy costs about $96 Australian. That's a 700ml bottle from Dan Murphy's. It's bottled at 40% ABV. It is both chill filtered and it's coloured. Now, the current 12-year style was introduced in 2014, and it's now considered to be part of their core range of single malt whiskies. The Aberfeldy website says the following about their 12-year single malt offering. It's a honeyed dram with notes of fruit, spices, lots of vanilla, and just a hint of smoke. It's actually kind of concise. I'm not used to that. Bravo. As a side note, you'll sometimes hear Aberfeldy referred to as the golden dram. Now, that's because it does have a honeyed colour, sure, I guess, but it's more the fact that there were gold deposits that were once found many, many years ago in the Petilly Burn, which is obviously where the distillery gets its water source. So, water flowing over gold, maybe there's gold in it. Sure. I mean, it's romantic, I guess. Never mind. Their website has some tasting notes, and they are also beautifully concise. On the nose, spiced and honey plump fruits. On the palate, syrupy with lots of vanilla and fudge. And on the finish, a whisper of smoke. I love concise tasting notes. Too much just gunks it all up, and it's just like, come on, really. So for the colour, I would call that sort of a yellowish gold more than anything, but it is coloured, so a part of me doesn't really care too much. And as for the legs, there's some running on the other side. Form relatively quickly, run relatively quickly. As it is chill filtered, you get what you get. Let's see what we get on the nose. Ooh, that's sweet and fruity. Strong honey, a little bit of a decent amount of vanilla, and a little bit of oak. That smells quite pleasant. That's not a tone of surprise, it's simply a fact. Okay, let's see what this tastes like, shall we? Aberfeldy. Alright. There's a light, sweet, honeyed vanilla. It's light, it's bright. It's not too intense. In the mouthfeel, it's a little bit oily, but it does not stick around. You can't chew on it at all. It dissipates pretty quickly. It's not unpleasant, though. It's not unpleasant. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly okay. And I do get a tiny bit of smoke just on the back end of the finish. I get none of that on the nose. Maybe a teeny bit. I don't think so. I didn't get any smoke on it before, so I think that's just residual finish. It's not. But that's okay. It's not heavily. It's not like a heavily. It's not an Octomore. All right, come on. It's not too bad, eh? It's really not too bad. And funnily enough, I was one of the things coming into this is I had in my mind like a Duos 12, and how would that compare? Like this is a 12-year single malt from Aberfeldy, and obviously that's one of the building blocks of a Duos 12. I'm pretty sure, and I can see some similarities, but I would, if I could choose between a Duos 12 and this, I would choose this. I don't even have to think about it. It's just like it's insta. I'm taking this over the Duos 12. But having said that, it is still a relatively straightforward Scotch. It's not overly complex. It is delightful enough, and honestly, I am enjoying drinking this. All right, so where does this sit? For cost, it's a 2. I mean, it's affordable for good whiskey. But where does it sit in terms of quality? Does it make me smile or giggle? No, it does not. It is perfectly pleasant, and that for me, it's a pretty easy choice to go with a 2. It's right in the middle of a 2. It is perfectly nice for some occasional variety. And as I said before, if it was between this and a Duos 12, I'd pick this. I would not have to think about that either. I haven't actually ranked a Duos 12. I haven't actually done an episode on Duos 12, but I have tried it. And I can't actually remember what I rated it as, but I imagine it would have been a lower end of a 2, but I should revisit that rather than guess. So, a 2 and a 2, that makes this a yellow, which, a few bottles in this category for something different, sure, why not? It is perfectly pleasant. I don't mind it at all. I'm glad it exists, but probably not going to buy a bottle in a hurry. Get a good deal on it, I might change my mind. And I'm also going to finish it because it is certainly nice. Not wasting it. So, with that, cheers. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Nice and pleasant.